All right, we are back. Episode 12. I'm Anubix. I'll pass it to my left. Go ahead, sir.
What's up, guys? I actually remembered to unmute this week. It's the first time for everything. Jesse, aka Third. Yeah, Michael.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Michael. I'm pleased to be here, and I hope we have a thrilling conversation tonight. I know there's always something going on in the world of cybersecurity, technology, and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Jesse, we were just talking about the Rockstar leak issue ordeal. You want to bring everybody up to speed?
Yes. So CyberLeaks. It's a guy who allegedly hacked Rockstar, got a dev build of GTA 6. Has been doing leaks on YouTube. Game looks fantastic based on those leaks. They're getting DMCA'd almost instantly at this point, I think. So they're not staying up super long. So originally, they released a manifesto comparing themselves to Stop Killing Games in the sense of they're pushing for physical copies of games because if it's a digital game, you don't own it, was the definition behind it. They created a cryptocurrency so you could help fund the fight. And then they started to gate some of the leak stuff information behind the cryptocurrency. So in my opinion, it's turning into a rug pull, which, I mean, we'll see. So Rockstar did send out 2 subpoenas. I believe it was today, one to Microsoft and then one to Discord. You can actually find them online. The Discord has some channels and I think 3 or 4 usernames. The Microsoft subpoenas to a specific GitHub repo that is covering all of the news and trying to create a timeline.
Nice. So, I don't know. I don't even know what my thoughts are on that. Michael, you got. That was a lot to take in, first and foremost. Let me just say that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're just in this world where, for a lot of years, we were talking about data breaches. It seemed almost endlessly. But now the whole vulnerability landscape has opened back up, so people going in and being able to get a copy, you just have to decide if you call that stealing, right? But people are, because Take 5, Take 2 Interactive, whatever they call themselves, they still got GTA. They still got the code. They still got their copy of it, right? But the thing of it is that however you look at that, somebody does have a copy of that now. And it's not just GTA today. I mean, somebody might get a copy of Microsoft's Windows source code tomorrow, right? And what are companies going to do about that? I mean, dealing with the cybersecurity industry, it's like, okay, what do you tell your clients now with regards to their operational processes that they have as software systems and how they are positioned to secure them?
I think that's the $1 million question.
I think the first thing you have to kind of look at too on this is it's a bigger deal because games are specifically digital. So we still had physical copies. I can't really think of a physical game that you couldn't find a leaked version before the release date, just because they have to ship all the physical copies out and get them ready for purchases and things of that nature. But one thing this has done, which I also mentioned before the podcast, is it's created a lot of people spreading around fake ISOs as dev builds of the game that are like 80 gig, and all it is just malware. So if you're watching this, don't download a GTA 6 dev build. Chances are it's not the actual build.
Nice.
I also think that here's something interesting I think that we should think about is we're in a climate where we have jailbroken PS5s, for instance. So what happens if this dev build somehow does get leaked onto jailbroken consoles? What would that do to, Rockstar, where they've put so much into like the pre-release that's only going to be visible through Netflix and stuff at this point? $1 billion game gets, leaked for computer and jailbroken consoles that they can't really do much about.
But this goes back to the concept of your moat. When we talk about a business, we talk about being competitive. What is your moat, right? So if you are dealing with hardware, you're making RAM chips, perhaps your quality control allows you to have a moat that your competitors don't have. Perhaps you are the best at making error correction based RAM. Okay, so that allows you to have a certain level of clientele that your other competitors who also make RAM don't have. But when we talk about software, and we've been talking about software for 40 years when it comes to, how do you protect it? You could try to protect it by law. You could try to protect it by digital rights management. But fundamentally, software itself is not a moat. And with AI, we can replicate a lot of software, maybe not to the same level of quality, but software itself is not a moat. And so we're going to see that loom larger, because, Jesse, you're talking about, jailbroken PS5s or jailbroken content on PS5s, right? But this goes across industries. This is why we're seeing, who is that? Not ServiceNow. What's that big CRM company? Salesforce. We're seeing Salesforce see a huge nosedive in their valuation because now people can use AI and prompt it, and they can look at Salesforce's UI and just make the same thing and just create their own jailbroken version of Salesforce.
Asterisk called Salesforce. That's also who Shiny Hunters has fucking hacked so many people through over the last year. That's the ones they've done the OAuth exploits on. So all the universities that have been breached recently through them, that was all through Salesforce.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to even with the black boxes back in the day, and where there's a will, there's a way, and where somebody's gonna put something behind a paywall, somebody's gonna try to, So I don't think it's a new thing. It might be a new product or service, different time frame, but same old story. It's just as we move more stuff towards the AI side of the house, it's going to be interesting to see how these things adapt and how they play out once that takes place. Another thing I was looking at, I dropped it over there, was the Android core malware, and basically it's spread through the updaters. So I was looking, basically, Do Fun develops the firmware for Android-based vehicles. So I was over there taking a look and seeing what all vehicles or manufacturers actually work with that. Your infotainment center, is it Android-based?
Well, I think that many infotainment centers are Android-based. And I know, who was that? Apple had their own system called CarPlay, or they have a system called CarPlay. But I've always been suspicious of car infotainment systems because as soon as you connect Bluetooth to that system, I know personally, I've seen some funny things on my phone after doing that, right? And it's like, you're just not going to get internet security for your infotainment system. You're not going to get, rigorous cybersecurity for your infotainment system. Just isn't going to happen. And you've had your car for 5 years, 10 years. You might get an update once a year, maybe once a quarter. Your car just, your infotainment system, it just blacks out and it comes back up, Microsoft Sync. Oh, it's updating. But it's like, it can't read the modern Bluetooth that well. It's old protocols built in there just for reliability purposes, and it is just set up for exploit and compromise.
Right. Like smart TVs.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword.
I had nothing. This is just another fun car hack that well, we're turning everything electronic so that eventually nothing will be safe. Why do I need
But
a smart toaster? I mean, come on.
but it is a market opportunity for people that are really serious about cybersecurity and having that in computers. And I know it's a narrative, and I've also promulgated this narrative myself, that computers are fundamentally insecure, and I still hold to that. But I do think that there are layers of algorithms, mathematics, processes that we can put in there that probably would be more reliable today than they may have been even 4 years ago. And the reason I say that is you got so much AI slop out there, so much bad code that's written out there, that not even the malware code is going to be as good of a quality as it might have been if somebody that was more of a serious engineer was writing it in the past. So there might be a pendulum swing in favor of the defenders in the future, right? If the defenders that actually embrace rigorous standards and really good practices and perspectives, I think they might have an advantage over someone who tries to vibe code some malware and try to compromise systems.
Here's you a long shot. Vibe coding gets so bad that people create malware to target a system, but that system's code base is so bad the malware won't work.
100%.
What is that movie? Is it Idiocracy? Man.
Yep. Idiocracy meets
Idi-
Wally.
meets Wally, you said? Oh man, was that the one when they were like all overweight and they're like stuck in those little? Oh man, that's bad. Yeah.
Dude, we're living it.
Oh, I just saw this. Apple warns users in 110 countries they may be targets for spyware. 150 countries. That's crazy.
Don't worry, Apple started vibe coding too. That's why that's now possible.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's gonna be next year is gonna be fun, man. Really, the
The
next
iPhone
9 months.
18, first iPhone that'll be fully developed by AI. Coming to use it.
Although I would swing back in Apple's defense on this, because John Turnus, the upcoming CEO, I mean he's a serious decades long hardware guy, and he's serious about this technology. So they're putting an engineer in charge of Apple, and so I think there's some good prospects there. I don't think it's going to mean anything for innovation the way people are hoping. Flashy UI, flashy designs, all that kind of stuff. But I do think that it's going to sustain the stabilization of Apple's technology. And there are still reports that are out there that say that Apple made a good decision when they didn't join the chorus of people that were trying to hype up AI. Apple has been, really panned for how they executed what they called Apple Intelligence, right? There was even a class action lawsuit that people were considering about that. But the thing about it is that now that all that's died down, people are saying Apple looks like a genius for stepping back. And buried in all the noise is some of the research that Apple did themselves about 2 years ago, where they evaluated large language models. And their point of view was that it is at that time, it wasn't advanced enough to justify them committing significant capital investment in trying to incorporate that internally with Apple. So they've made a deal with Google to have Gemini power their next generation AI integrations with the Apple products. And I think that's a very smart move on their part because, the old school idea, I don't know if business schools still teach it, but this is one of the most important things that I've learned about business. It's called core competency. What is it that your business actually does? And you can get distracted by other businesses. So once upon a time, I worked for a company, and they were a telecom company, a major telecom company, but they also wanted to be in TV, and they wanted to be in these other businesses. And long story short, many years later, they had to write off billions of dollars in waste from acquisitions, blah, 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 right? Just think about how much profit they could have had if they just improved their telecom infrastructure, right? So I think Apple holds some really good lessons for us. And it's just going to be interesting how it plays out with them versus companies like Microsoft, who is having some real drama around Copilot.
Okay, so Cook is out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He announced this about 3 months ago. It's a planned secession.
Okay.
He's going to be executive chairman.
Gotcha. Okay.
But so he's promoted him, or the board promoted him, and so, but John Turnus, who is who was the VP that oversaw the transition from Intel Macs to the M Series Macs, who oversaw the iPhone, the iPad, not their design, but actually making them a reality as a hardware, because he's an actual engineer in hardware, like building CPUs, building the circuits, all that kind of stuff. So
Nice. Okay. I mean, they definitely need somebody like that if they're gonna try to pull this off on that level. I know the hype with Apple Intelligence is at an all-time high right now. Still on the fence, but that's just because we kind of heard this a couple times before. As far as going through the Gemini route, I mean, time will tell if that was a good decision or not. But either way, man, for whoever made the executive decision to be like, hey, look, we need to do something. We need to either outsource this or figure something out, because we don't have this right, man. Like, I mean, even some of the so-called features that were supposed to happen months ago, and when they rolled the stuff out, like, oh yeah, the features didn't even work properly. So and I mean, I would say the last 3 or 4 cycles of phones have been just like, I mean, what was the last like iPhone that you were like, oh shit, this is dope?
The last one I bought, 13 Pro Max.
15, yeah, okay.
13. It's been
Or 13, okay. Man,
yep,
13, okay.
13 for sure. I definitely agree with that. And the thing that you're saying, Anubix, is that Apple really has to sit there and think through, okay, where they're going to spend their money. But also, if I were to make this simple for everyone, it really comes down to hallucinations with the language models. So Apple's a company that prides themselves on having high quality technology. That's their brand, as well as being a secure platform, right? But their brand is quality. And they just could not stomach doing large language model research, trying to integrate those ideas and concepts with whatever PhDs they hire. And you still cannot get, and I know this is kind of contradictory, but you cannot get deterministic results at a quality level through that approach, right? So I think they struggled with that, because everything else that they do, their hardware, their software, it's all deterministic. and they know how to tune that and optimize that. But they just didn't have the resources and I guess the process to optimize large language models if they were to try to bring that in-house and integrate that in.
I think another thing to look at is something we've all commented on is long term. Gemini is not, in my opinion, the most competent model. Like, it doesn't give me the most advanced technical answers, for instance, but I think that it's more likely that OpenAI and Anthropic could go under a lot faster than Google.
Yeah, and that's probably what was the driving or leading decision maker was the longevity of it. I mean, Apple has always been like that. I mean, even in the beginning, it was always about like we're here to stay. So, it's interesting. Outside of that, though, I mean, so you have Anthropic, OpenAI. What was the Copilot? I'm still on the fence about what is the after, or not the aftermath. We know what that is, but like, what is the outcome? Like, where do they go from here?
Copilot accidentally phishing your own company.
Well, it's a big deal, but Richie, you will might be surprised by this, but it's also not a big deal. I'm gonna tell you why. It's not a big deal because it's Microsoft. They've survived the Department of Justice trying to break them up. They have survived becoming irrelevant in the consumer space and still expanding their fortunes in the enterprise with Azure and its ilk. So they know how to pivot. And so the thing about it is that they did spend a lot of money on this AI venture, and um, there are people inside Microsoft. They're not all drinking the Kool-Aid. One of my hero, you asked me in a previous podcast who one of my heroes is, or I may have talked about that. Anders Heidelberg, right? The guy who created C#, the guy who created TypeScript, the guy who created Turbo Pascal. That's my hero right there. He doesn't have a degree. He didn't have a formal education like a computer scientist, but yet he created the fastest compiler in the 80s for Pascal. He created a language in C# that overtook Java in many ways in the enterprise space. And he not single-handedly, but him and his team, they redid how people engage with JavaScript in web development, right? This one guy, right? So I watched, and I bring his name up because I watched his whole interview with Peter Parkman or something like that last night, or would you say early this morning? So 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. So anyway, I'm watching it because it came on my feed. I was ready to go to sleep. It's like, but that's Anders Heidelberg. Let me just see what he's got to say. And he talked about building TypeScript using Go versus trying to rewrite it in Rust and trying to build it with AI, right? And this is a no-nonsense guy, right? This is not no ivory tower dude. He's practical. He's hands-on. He said, AI can't not do this stuff. AI will never be able to do this stuff. And he said, there is a class of software applications that AI can never write. And, this guy has all the credibility in the world. He's with Microsoft. He is behind all their programming. He's behind all their platforms, it's in terms of like the ultimate leverage. And he said, we tried it, and you can see it in his face, the scars. We really tried to make AI work with this stuff. And so the thing about Copilot is you got the business side, the marketing side, they want to expand a market and they want to latch onto this momentum, and it's just not working. And you got the engineers in Microsoft who's like, hey man, we'll just wait this out. This stuff is just going to fizzle and we'll just move on to the next thing.
I think Copilot's going to end up being pushed towards like a data analytics and like marketing analytics, where it ties in so well with things like Excel already in the Microsoft sphere. So I think that's the direction they'll end up going with it. Is I use it a little bit at work. I've yet to have any good result whatsoever trying to do anything technical with Copilot, but on like parsing Excel data and things of that nature, it's fantastic.
Nice. Have you guys messed with Codex at all? I keep hearing about that. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
Well, I don't know if Jesse's messed with it, but I looked at it for like a day. Now, I stopped myself because I cannot stomach a terminal that's built in React. That's why I don't even like Claude Code. I cannot stomach a terminal harness, okay, that's built in a web development technology in the command line. That makes absolutely no sense to me. And then Anthropic comes out. I know we're talking about Codex. I'm gonna come back to that. But Anthropic said, "Oh, we did some language model stuff so that we can get the React rendering in the terminal at 60 frames per second." I mean, what in the world? We're talking about plain text, bruh. Come on, you write this stuff in C or whatever. So Gemini's harness apparently is written in C, or it was before it became anti-gravity. But so that's what I saw with Codex. People say Codex is as productive as Claude Code, and I totally believe that. And so for me, that's where discussion ends with me, is that for my workflows, agentic workflows using the terminal, I just see that as a route to higher expense and just getting locked in with higher pricing and higher billing long term.
It feels just like Claude Code to me. I mean, I'm kind of on the same thing. If I'm pulling an application down to run it and it's trying to render a web browser in my terminal, I'm just going to use the GUI, because at that point, why not?
Is there a time where you can see yourself actually like it being useful to utilize that?
No, I'll just write a command line tool that'll, parse the APIs directly myself, so that
What do
I
you
cut out the middleman.
what do you think like their goal was with doing it like that?
It's pretty.
So
Well,
aesthetics.
it wasn't really that. Okay. The real reason is that they wanted to use their language model to be able to build this harness and build all their software. The one language, and Anders Heidelberg talked about this in an interview. It was a 1 hour interview. He was very thorough. Okay. The language that has the most training data on it when you're talking about programming is JavaScript first and Python second. If you're trying to have AI generate you some stuff in C, which would be the ideal language for a terminal application, or C++, or even Rust, right? There's not enough training data to do that, where you're trying to do it quick. You're trying to iterate. You're trying to just push out them features. But if you say, okay, I'm do an Electron style thing, where I got the Chromium web browser built in, and I can use CSS, JavaScript, and HTML, and I can use web development, techniques, concepts, best practices, methodologies, blah, 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 right? And I can hire people who understand that, who look at the AI generated code. Well, they went in that direction. To me, that's not a sound engineering direction or sound engineering approach at all. But in terms of product velocity, that works for them.
So does that fall back into how you were saying, like it's more lean? This is more pushed by marketing and product, and in that case, okay.
100%, because the founder of Anthropic, right? Let's look at these founders, right? The founder of Microsoft, regardless of what we think about Microsoft today, the founder of Microsoft, Bill Gates, was a true programmer. He was an assembly language programmer. Now, he may not have been the best, but he still was in there with the hardware. Okay, so that helped start the foundations of Microsoft. One of the founding members of Apple and engineering, Wozniak, right? Okay, but OpenAI, Sam Altman, that's not an engineer, dude. Dario Amodei, founder of Anthropic, that's not an engineer, that's a neuroscientist. So you don't have coders running these organizations. You don't have engineers running organizations.
I also think we can see this in the gaming sphere. I don't know if you've looked at indie Steam releases recently, but there's so much AI generated Electron apps that are just games coming out. It's wild.
I want to touch on that a little bit more. Are you saying like they're like fully built by AI or just partially built or like?
So Steam has a thing now where if your game's AI driven or created by AI, you have to state specifically what it is. And it's actually hilarious where all these games were coming out previously that are Electron apps. Like, I think it started about the time like the first Melvor Idol, which is like a RuneScape idol game that came out.
Mhm.
And it was an Electron app. And I feel like shortly after that, started seeing an increase in them. And then when Steam made that announcement, you can see all these games they're suddenly putting in there built by AI. It's wild to me.
Yeah,
Because
and
indie
see that,
games used to be where you used to find the fun stuff, but
and
it's
see
turning into AI slop now.
and see that all aligns with what the question that Anubix was raising about, why would you use web development for the terminals, right? Just trying to figure that out. And for these games, it's all about velocity. Folks, they want to build a game. They don't actually have a game background, a game programming background. And so, but they have ideas. There's nothing wrong with that. They want to get that out. I actually don't begrudge them their thing. Go ahead and do that. I'm here to just criticize it from an engineering standpoint because it's not the right choice from an engineering standpoint. Now, if you download that game through Steam as a consumer, as a paying customer, and you enjoy it, that's great. That's 100% fine. The problem becomes one of an industry stewardship standpoint. So let me go away from that big word back down to practicality. We are using too much RAM in our systems, and we've been doing that before AI. We're using too much RAM in our systems. We're using too much compute when we could have designed the software so that they were much more efficient, right? And now we're in a RAM crisis, and we're heading towards a time, if RAM prices keep going up, hardware prices keep going up, that it's going to swing back to talent that can optimize, that can write code that is more efficient, that can go back and re-architect systems so that they can be much more efficient. But yeah, using electron-based apps, that is definitely a sign of things to come in terms of lower satisfaction with computing devices overall.
See, my issue is similar to like how for a while the book market on Amazon was taken over by AI written books. It makes it very difficult to find and support an indie developer that's put, a lot of time and effort into their work, where you have these $1 or $2 games that are just getting dumped by somebody spending half an hour AI generating it and not caring whether it does good or not.
Yeah, I'm seeing multiple things on that subject. That is crazy. So rule of thumb, does the player directly experience the AI generated output? So if you're using AI in the workflow, that's fine. But basically, if it interacts within the game at any point, and then they have like a full-on good versus bad disclosure. Bad disclosure. Some AI was used. Better disclosure. AI tools were used to draft item description. All final text was edited by the developer. So nice little word play, some word salad here. It's interesting, man.
I mean, look at Palworld. Palworld used AI, but the guy used it in like parts of his game development side of things that he was bad at, which was like the 3D model and rendering. And people love the game because the dude that originally developed it, who he actually won his lawsuit against Nintendo, which is hilarious.
Who is
But
this dude?
Palworld, it's like
You
clone game almost. It's interesting, but Nintendo sued them over claiming that they were using Pokemon's likeness and stuff, but they ended up losing that lawsuit. Palworld won, and I think they're about to drop more content, and that
Really?
game's still huge.
Wait, what is this? Nintendo sues takes influencer.
It was actually wild because they tried to use I think it was a Japanese patent loop where they were filing the patents after the fact just so they could sue. And one of the patents they were filing was so generic, it was along the lines of summoning a helper and using them in combat so that like it would target Final Fantasy and everybody.
That's horrible.
That's what you call
Nintendo as a company is cooked, I swear.
that's what you call a non-practicing entity. That was a serious issue 10 years ago, where you had companies that were just spun up, and they were what do you call those? Shell companies. You had these shell companies that were spun up, and they were abusing patents just so that they could shake down people just for writing an app or writing some kind of code or something like that, and take them for millions and in some cases billions.
For some reason, that reminds me. I don't know if you guys ever followed like blockchain security or news, but there for a while in Africa. I love how I mute myself constantly. I don't know how much of that you heard. I don't know if you guys follow like blockchain news or anything, but it might have been last year, or the year before. Do you remember when in Africa, hackers were attacking like the central government where they never kept paper copies of deeds? So they were reassigning housing to themselves and evicting people from their own houses and selling them back.
The Central African.
The patent scam.
Yep, the blockchain is the solution to all things.
Is it the one I just dropped in the chat? It said it. Let's see, the government of Central African Republic has pursued a string of crypto initiatives since 2022.
No, that's entirely different.
That's
But it still
different?
goes along the same lines. It's still happening.
That's funny. That's what I say. I was like, based off what it says here, I was like, it looks a little different, but same continent.
Wasn't it Akon that was going to start his futuristic city over there and was
There
like
was.
$1 billion scam?
Yes,
Yep.
that's what I was thinking of. City. What was that?
Yep, that
that
was
w-
Akon.
that was crazy. Oh, that was West Africa.
Yep. But
Like,
it's not complete if you don't get the East.
Crazy, because I think he like bought 5 acres or something like that.
he was trying to create a. It was inspired by Wakanda. He also launched. That's funny. He also launched a cryptocurrency.
Well, that's how he's funding it. So
That's-
everybody would buy into the cryptocurrency, and he ended up doing a pump and dump, and it was an exorbitant amount of money that he got.
I saw like where it was supposed to be at, and like when he like bounced out, and I was like, they didn't do shit, man. They was like took a picture. It was like, yeah, this is where it's gonna be at. Yeah, let's tape it off real quick, and it was like, yeah, fuck that. Yeah, it's crazy, man. And he never got charged or anything for that, huh?
Well, he's outside of any type of jurisprudence.
Mm.
You know, but there's somebody who is within American jurisprudence, and apparently Mark Zuckerberg is looking at a potential $1 trillion lawsuit or something like that regarding social media. Um, and I think this just broke in the last two days. But yeah, there's talks about bringing regulations down on heavy regulations on social media to um, basically rein it in because the people in general think it has gone too far.
Another topic, which is not tech related, but it is scammy related. Are either of you football fans like soccer? If you paid attention, what's happened with FIFA
No,
over
what's
like
happened
the
with
last week
FIFA?
or so? So, FIFA World Cup, insanely profitable. They were doing like variable ticketing prices where one of the tickets actually came from vendor for like $2 million.
Hmm.
Like $800 would get you in the nosebleeds. So they come out after the World Cup and announce that they were going to create a secondary company to handle the advertising and things of that nature for the leagues and for the World Cup and everything. So they were going to sell 20% of the stake in that. So now they have investors. But they said the investors can't, pressure them into raising ticket prices or anything because, investors don't give a crap about profit. One important thing they forgot to do was tell the clubs that are part of FIFA that they were going to do this. So, immediately Europe starts calling their bluff and says, we're not playing in your leagues anymore. There was like 58 countries or something like that for the European League, the union. And then the North American or the Americas, their union also came in and stated it. And then they ended up backing out of it. But if you dig into who was behind the proposal and everything, it actually goes back to Trump, which is hilarious. It's his son-in-law. It's like
Really?
Kushner, I believe that's his name.
So is the issue with FIFA or the issue with the 55 European countries?
It was the issue was with FIFA not telling them that they were trying to sell rights and incorporate it, making it a publicly traded thing.
That's insane.
And you had dynamic pricing. So more organizations, and FIFA is just the most recent one, they're engaging in dynamic pricing. So they're using technology, they're using AI, they're using whatever to be able to present to you a different price than somebody else based on what they think your ability to pay is.
Oh wait, so Kushner was trying to purchase the 20%. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, he was going to own 20% of FIFA.
Wow, that totally like I was not making that connection. I'm reading this, I'm like, wait, what? Oh yeah, that's funny. That is funny.
It was so bad that a lot of like the higher ups at FIFA were coming out protesting against it, saying they were going to quit, saying that it was a one-man decision at the top.
That's crazy. 29 trillion won. FIFA stake buy boycott. That's crazy, man.
Just
Now I
goes to
think,
show you the world we live in currently.
did I see that wrong? I thought I saw that the other day. See if that. Yeah. Didn't know. So I saw something that Shaq bought the Lakers. It's not true.
And it's like the Daily Post that LeBron's going to Golden State.
Listen, if that happens, I'll actually go watch a sport again. Just to
Hey,
see
man,
him just to see him give my buddy like a brain aneurysm.
dude, I'm a big Curry fan. I think watching Curry is fucking crazy. So,
Imagine what that will go to if that was to happen.
I mean,
He would
well,
kill that team.
I would say LeBron now, yes, it would kill the team. Now, if it was like a younger LeBron when he was really good at the game still, like physically good, because I think he still has a head for the game. He just doesn't have the physical capability that he used to.
I mean, what is he, 42 or something like that?
Yeah, he's ancient in basketball terms.
Yeah, I mean, especially when he's been playing since fucking. Yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, I think it could have been like the KD era when KD was on the team.
See, I just don't see how they would roll the ball, because Curry has the ball at all times in a sense, or at least
I think it would
touches it.
be. Well, he's not a selfish player, Curry's.
I know,
I think it would be about like the Olympic team, how they did there.
yeah, but they had Kobe to like ring that shit in, man. When
Kobe wasn't on the Olympic team this year.
yes, he what? Oh, are you talking about this year? Okay, yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean,
when fucking
I don't watch sports anymore, man.
yeah, like there's crazy highlights of Curry just absolutely because he played terrible the entire Olympics, and then in the last game he showed them why you don't count him out when he was just shooting with 2 or 3 people guarding him and walking away as it was going through behind him.
Yeah,
Dude's
that dude.
cracked.
I mean, he's literally. Okay, I'll give you an example. You remember when Vic came out, Mike Vick, right? Well, I don't want to say came out, but like it was right. I think he just signed that Nike deal, right? I think it was a shoe deal and a T-shirt deal, and he just read up. It was like 10 years, 140 some crazy amount, and and then like a couple weeks later he got hit with the dog shit, right? But like think about like the first quarterback was really Mike Vick when he revolutionized the way a quarterback moves, right? Of course, you had like other individuals, but it was really Mike Vick, and I think that's the same thing that's going to happen this time around with this. Like, that kind of sets the trend going forward.
Oh, I think Curry. Oh, I think Shaquille O'Neal said it best when he was cracking the joke that he loves Steph Curry, but he ruined basketball.
Yeah, I
Now
mean,
you go to the park and you see a kid like throwing it up from half court.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it changed everything, right? You can't take away the fact, dude's phenomenal, man. But it's just like at that point, like, dude, you can literally make the ball from anywhere. Like, fucking go out there in the stands, just throw the ball up. It's gonna go. Like, it's just at that point, it's kind of like when you've played NBA 2K or some shit, and you like turn the character up to like everything's fucking 100%. It's kind of like that. It's fucking cheating, right?
No, man. I mean, when I used to play basketball, that was one of the things I tried to specialize in. 3-pointers and shooting from as far back as I could.
That's fine, but if you like, so if you watch even in school, right, middle school, high school, college, whatever, ever since Curry, like even the coaches train, like they tell their like, hey, I need you out more. I need you to like go all the way on the wing, right? Like fucking damn near out of bounds, like like. You see a lot more of that, where back in the day, you aren't doing that shit. The main focus was free throw. And if you're open and you're like, what? Pass it, kick it out, let them drain it, right? But 9 times out of 10, it's like free shot. Focus on the free shot, take the foul, take your shot. Like, like, so.
They ain't trying to play fair no more. They trying to have that massive advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Between that and flopping.
That's the NBA strategy.
Yeah,
somebody walks near you, you fall over.
Yeah, that shit is crazy, man. Like, like, dude, we're like Walter Payton, like those type people. Like, you don't run out of bounds, man. Like, take your hit.
But Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, the rise of those celebrities, that really was the starting point with a lot of that. Because Larry Bird was really trying for those long shots, and Michael Jordan, he basically made the slam dunk famous, right? And it was like, okay, there you got this real tall individual that can just, tower over everyone and just change the circumstances just like that. And there was a lot of criticism of Michael Jordan even back then, where it was like, you know, yes, he plays with a team, he passes the ball, but more often than not, it's like it's about him. And it's like he is the one that's actually the player on the field as opposed to his team. And so I think you have an element of that as well.
It
Fair.
worked. He's
Yeah,
got a lot
fair.
of rings.
You got a lot of rings, man. That shit is crazy. But yeah, dude, I remember seeing, like, at least from my perspective, the decline in sports, all around sports, right? Like, just the inshitification of, telling the defense they can't do their job. Having individuals flop like it's primetime fucking news, man, and it's a hot story. Like, just seeing how, even like in college, man, like, individuals are so caught up on all this other, it's like, dude, like, y'all get paid now and y'all still complaining. Like, there was individuals that had to play 4 freaking years, through college, to even have a shot. And now here you getting paid in college. All you got to do is just do what you got to do. That's it. But no, you want more money. It's crazy to me. And I think, like, all of it's just that's all it is now, right? We're back in the day, the Lawrence Taylors and all those individuals, man, like they just love football, or Michael Jordan, they love basketball, right? You don't really see that anymore, man. I don't see it anymore.
Nope. And they love the sport, and they were also hyper competitive, and that competitive edge has been watered down a lot. Just socially, people say, don't focus too much on competition, focus on the team, and that's a valid point. But when you're looking at taking yourself to the next level, especially in sports, you got to have a level of competition where you just really want to win and go to the top. And I think the dilution of that has really had an effect on things.
Gonna get canceled for this. I blame No Child Left Behind and consolation prizes for that. I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be rewarded for coming in last. I understand you put in effort. I understand you're sad you got last. But that doesn't drive you to work harder. It makes you realize that, I can be terrible and still get rewarded. That's not how improvement happens.
But the time for that has come to an end, because in California, Walmart has laid off 306 people in their corporate and engineering teams because they didn't build an e-commerce platform and they don't need them anymore.
You're welcome.
Speaking of California, I got one for you, Anubis.
Go ahead, shoot.
Because you're a Nipsey fan, right?
Of course.
All right, it's 4RealPodcast. All right. How do you feel about Big U getting arrested and allegedly some of the information coming out? We might finally find more details about Nipsey's murder.
The public might find out more details
Exactly.
about. But
Baby's the one that stated you're not a Crip until you kill a Crip, or you're not a Rolling 60 until you kill a Rolling 60.
Yeah. I'll say what I can about the subject. Look, man, you play stupid game, win stupid prizes. Is that yeah, that's the saying. And I mean, shit's stupid, dude. Like, I'm not here to, like, talk about politics or, like, what's your opinion on individual. Like, that's irrelevant to me. But if there's an individual who's trying to do something good, and you prevent that, for no other reason other than, you know, trying to self-promote yourself in some type of way. Shit needs to happen. And what will happen, I mean, it is what it is, man. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on that subject.
And you know, with all the recent revelations about Beyonce that's just come out, maybe she'll let us all know.
How did we get here, man?
This is
Changing
the
this to a
segment
hip hop
called social
podcast.
engineering.
That is hilarious. I had my 0-1 question for today, but because of the latest update, I kind of got a little sidetracked. Let me see if I can pull something. I don't know. All right, we'll do it like this. So would you rather figure out the truth behind Pac or Biggie?
The issue is we know the truth behind both already.
But the like, you know, if they created a documentary like the hey, this has happened at this, you know, like which one, like what mattered more? Because you have a
Well,
truth, but you don't, like, who knows if it's the actual truth, right?
so generally speaking, Tupac is the more fundamental story to follow. And there is a professor, Professor Smalley, I believe his name. So Tupac, and so Professor Smalley knows Tupac. And I learned about Professor Smalley through a YouTube channel called Empire 363. And so Professor Smalley is like almost 80 years old, and he was in the Navy, but he was also affiliated with Malcolm X and the Black Panthers. And through that affiliation with Malcolm X and the Black Panthers, he was a mentor of Tupac, who was affiliated with those movements. And if you look at Tupac's actual rap, his actual music or catalog, much of it, the undertone of it was about empowerment. It was about liberation. It was about looking at the system, what we now call the matrix, right? See, people today would relate more to Tupac than maybe people of his time, the majority of which were still trying to conform to a system they thought would still give them rewards. See,
Yeah.
so understanding the actual truth behind all of that, to the extent that people suspect that there's something going on,
Mhm.
where they were trying to shut them down. See, I've watched a lot of podcasts with actual OGs in the recording industry, music industry, and we have it on good authority that they put sound samples in all the music that you listen to affect and influence your mind. It's in the CDs. It was encoded in the CDs. You can't hear it, but your subconscious mind could hear it. At the same time, they incentivized rappers and people in Tupac's genre to stop doing rap music that gets people to really think and get people to shut off their thinking and to just embrace vices, to embrace just escapism, rather than think about, well, maybe we can change the society. Maybe we can do something more substantial. So I think that there are those out there that think that Tupac was removed on that basis, and it was not just some kind of, turf, some type of beef. That
Mhm.
to many is just a cover story.
And to your point, thanks for driving that home. That's what I mean by that. Like the actual, because yeah, you can, everybody can say what they want to say, regardless. Um, but you know, it's that side, and then like what actually fucking happened. And you know, there has to be other stuff that's behind the scenes that was taking place. I mean, just because if you look at the time frame, right? Look at the times, right? And what was leading up to that point when that took place. I mean, everybody knew what time it was. The Watts riots or LA King, the Rodney King riots were happening around that same time. Like the epidemic that was going on in that time frame, it was right on the cusp of like, hey, all that stuff that we used to do is like coming to an end, right? The helicopters are getting faster. You know, the crime scene labs are they're getting more employees or whatever the case. Like, but you just see everything's getting more sophisticated. But yeah, it was at the cusp. It was at the end of that era, man. And like now, it's just to your point. Like, yeah, people now might be able to relate more to what the message was that he was delivering at the time. At the time when he was delivering it, people are still lost, man. Not saying they're not lost now; they're even lost even more. But like, it's been enough time for individuals to see the repercussions of past actions.
Because it's like, if you think about Tupac's songs, right? It really got you to think. And for some, it might even steer them in a different direction. He had that one song he said, Brenda got a baby, but Brenda barely got a brain. Damn shame the girl can hardly spell her name. That's not my problem. That's up to Brenda's family. But let me tell you how it affects the whole community. And see, thinking about it in those terms, the lyrics flow with you, but also the meaning hits on so many dimensions. It's like, that girl that you're trying to you ask out. Maybe you need to reconsider that. Maybe you need to think about what your priorities are.
100%.
Just throwing out there, they got a shooter shortly after Diddy got arrested.
See, man, we're at time, but we're not going to touch that at all. Leave your baby oil in that way, man. We done here. No, man. Again, thank you guys for coming out, and we'll catch you next week.
Adios, muchachos.